You cannot defeat the ego. No one has ever defeated the ego. The only thing that can occur is that the ego, with all the right conditions, will voluntarily and with honour surrender. With beautiful grace, it will surrender. It will surrender unto the true master, arising from within. And the true master is you.
Because we don't normally recognize that what we are is this inner quality of being, we keep looking for something we can call the self. And so we dress ourselves up in all these psychological clothes, things like the roles we play in life, the way people see us, the things we do, our personality, our character. But these are all images of the self. They're not the self in its true essence.
Even God cannot defeat the capital E, ego. And in order to awaken, you have to really come to a deep, deep knowing, a realization, a recognition, a witnessing of who and what the ego is, why it is, how it functions, and what will it take for the ego to release you. So we have to own and acknowledge and confess how we're functioning as egos, lost in separation, always wanting more, never satisfied. This is not enough. More, me, mine. Now there's no judgment in this. Judgment would be of the ego also. This is just observation, witnessing who you have become. The ego knows that the true master is without judgment. The ego knows that, even though it's forgotten that it knows that. But deep down it knows that. And it knows to test you. And for the most part we all fail the test. We don't realize that judgment is just an energy passing through us. Let it pass through you. Express it, just don't believe in it. Allow it. Don't be for it or against it. It's just an energy. Let it pass through you. Own it, acknowledge it, confess it, but don't believe in it. The only thing that will bring the ego to a place of relaxation and surrender, the only thing, is the energy of love and acceptance.
Ego is the worst confidence trickster we could ever figure, we could ever imagine, because you don't see it.
And the single biggest con is, I am you.
The problem is that the ego hides in the last place that you'd ever look, within itself.
It disguises its thoughts as your thoughts, its feelings as your feelings. You think it's you.
People's need to protect their own egos knows no bounds. They will lie, cheat, steal, kill, do whatever it takes to maintain what we call ego boundaries.
People have no clue that they're in prison. They don't know that there is an ego. They don't know the distinction.
At first, it's difficult for the mind to accept that there's something beyond itself, that there's something of greater value and greater capacity for discerning truth than itself.
In religion, the ego manifests as the devil. And of course, no one realizes how smart the ego is because it created the devil so you could blame someone else.
In creating this imaginary external enemy, we usually made a real enemy for ourselves, and that becomes a real danger to the ego, but that's also the ego's creation.
There is no such thing as an external enemy, no matter what that voice in your head is telling you. All perception of an enemy is a projection of the ego as the enemy.
In that sense, you could say that 100% of our external enemies are of our own creation.
Your greatest enemy is your own inner perception, is your own ignorance, is your own ego.
The qualities that define an entity, such as yourself, is not your beautiful body or your beautiful face. It's the intangible that defines you as who you are. And because they are merely concepts of thought, they have no fertileness. We cannot see them, as it were, unless we enact them through a modus operandi that we call our human body.
Our minds and our egos are so dominant in our lives that it's the mind and ego that insists on being the creator. And it doesn't realize, we don't realize, that to the extent we insist on being the creator with the mind and ego, everything we create will be out of harmony with the truth. And we will be out of harmony with the truth. And the only place it will lead is our own end. And our only hope is our awakening, our remembering who we really are. The truth is alive and awake in every one of us. When you hear the truth, if you're open and you're responsive and you're not listening with your mind, you can actually feel, I feel, the settling into presence that occurs. The opening into oneness, just hearing the truth. The truth shall set you free. And the truth abides in each one of us equally. You cannot get the truth from outside of you. You can hear it from outside of you, but you can only know it from within. If you really pay attention, you'll discover that almost everything we do is motivated by our desire to avoid the pain of living in a world of separation. It drives us relentlessly through our unconscious life. Seeking relationships, seeking acceptance, seeking approval, seeking a place where I belong, seeking success, fearing failure. Whatever it is that drives us through our life. How many of us stop long enough and are present long enough to really feel into who am I and why am I here?
Production.